Hello, this video is a quick overview of these. Hobbyking were kind enough to send them to me a few weeks ago, and I've been out flying them on my 7-inch quad. And this is just a quick video to let you know how I've been testing them. And I'm going to leave it up to you to decide whether you think it's something that you would be interested in. It's two lipos from their new APEX range, which are a high performance lipo which touts a 180C rating. They've kindly sent me a 1500 mAh 4S pack and a 4400 4S lipo pack. I use 4S. I know most people out there use 6S, but I guess I'm old school. I use 4S. So I'm not going to do an unboxing or anything like that. I'm just going to give you a quick example, a quick rundown of an example of how I've been testing them and what I've been finding. First thing we'll do is quickly check the specification on their website. So let's go and do that. Okay, so before we just quickly jump to their website, I want to just show you what it is I normally use. So I've got some files that I'd like to show you. So this is the I'm going to use the 1500 as the example, but to be honest, the kind of the experience that I've had with the 1400 is fairly similar, and we'll just go through quickly some of these specs. So these China Hobby line batteries, they're just out of my normal stash, and these are the batteries that I tend to normally use. I've thrown this up as a quick comparison for the weight difference of the new APEX battery compared to the other China Hobby line range. As you can see, it's significantly lighter than the others, and it does tout a better C rating, 180, compared to the Mini Star 120, then the Pizza and the Black Series 100. Now, when I'm using the China Hobby line battery, and say they've been my go-to for quite a while, the punch and the sag on the batteries is fairly noticeable, but also the recovery from that punch and that sag is also very noticeable. When we quickly check the Apex website, you'll see the difference because they've kind of graphed that, and it's something that users will need to bear in mind. So here is the Apex 1500 compared to my other normal go-to 1500s. In terms of the 4S 1400, normally on my 7-inch quad, I use a lithium ion pack that I've made up myself. And as you can see, the Apex pack is significantly heavier than a 21700 cell 4S pack. But of course, my 4S is just a 4S 1P, where the Apex, if you look closely there, up here, it actually says 4S 2P. So this is a 2200 4S pack, doubled up in parallel, and that's what gives it, in this case, a decent kind of C rating and not too much sag. Let me quickly show you a video now. No, we'll go to the website, of course. Let's do the website. So this is something that we're going to have to bear in mind when we're flying these packs. Let's have a look. This is what we need to see here. This graph. Because this is how my normal China Hobby line batteries operate. When you punch the throttle, they sag and they drop off fairly quickly. As they've called it here, a power fade. But the thing with those batteries is, when you ease off on the throttle, the voltage normally comes back up again. And I rag the life out of my batteries. I don't really mother my batteries. My philosophy is you could look after your batteries and then on the first go, put it through a tree and puncture it. So I don't tend to look after my batteries. I leave them all fully charged, which I know people say you're not supposed to do, but I do. I leave them fully charged. I normally rag the life out of them. I fly them until they're kind of 3.4, 3.3 volts per cell. And then normally by the time I've landed and let them rest and bring them back to the charger, they're up above the 3.5, 3.6, 3.7 volt range, and I charge them and they're normally fine. So I rag the life out of them. But this is kind of what we normally see. Quick kind of voltage drop off, but if you were to ease off the throttle, the voltage would then climb back up again. On the other hand, the Apex batteries, they've graphed this more kind of steady horizontal line with a sudden drop off. And to be honest, that's exactly what I have seen with these. Very little to no sag, but once you hit that 3.5 volt range, the voltage just plummets and they don't recover back to the same extent that the China Hobby line, for example, batteries would recover. So let me show you a video where that's happening. And whether it was on the big 4400 pack or the 1500 pack, this is an example of how I flew them, and both kind of worked the same. The main kind of two areas to look on this video is up here at the top left, where we have the volts and the amp draw, and in the bottom right hand corner where I have my kind of throttle position. And you'll see this is a 4S 7-inch quad, not necessarily the most efficient. It pulls a fair amount of amps for a 4S quad. So what we're kind of looking for up here is the amp draw when I kind of give it punch the throttle, but how the voltage itself kind of recovers or doesn't recover. And you can see it's all fairly steady on here. As we continue on through the pack, I'm flying fairly conservatively here, and let's keep going. At no point through this pack when I punched did the voltage kind of sag below the 3.5 volt range. And as I say, it was kind of the same whether it was the larger pack or this 1500 pack. They've both operated fairly much the same. But what did happen then, as the voltage and the capacity started to run out towards the end of the pack. So remember, this is a 1500 pack, and this voltage and current scale's fairly accurate. So yeah, normally at this point, people would normally land. On my other packs, I kind of just rag them a bit more, knowing that they'll drop the 3.3, but then they'll bounce back fairly quickly. But you'll notice here that these don't. They drop off really quick. And in actual fact, even though I'm only hovering now, they just dropped. Let's have another quick look at that. So I'm kind of at the end of the pack here. Should really be landing, but I'll do one more quick kind of little punch to see how they bounce back or don't bounce back. And the voltage at this point just starts to plummet. It just falls off a cliff. And that has happened on both the packs. So after flying, I measured the voltages on each cell, and this is where they were, and that was literally just after that pack you've just seen. So this was pretty much about a minute after I had landed, and then this was about 15 minutes or so afterwards. So I brought them back, stuck them on the charger, and this is how they were about an hour or two after that pack. As you can see, this is the larger pack, and this is the 1500, and this is what the volts were sitting about an hour or so after flying, in a similar way that you've just seen. 26 minutes into the charge, and this is where the volts were sitting. You can see none of them have recovered back to 3.5 volts yet. And I'm charging both of these packs at 1.7 amps. And to be honest, for the past 5 or 6 years, I have charged pretty much every pack that is 1500 or larger. I charge them at that kind of voltage. And here we go, an hour afterwards. The resistance, I haven't damaged the packs really in any way by flying how I did there. And as you can see, this one is now pretty much fully charged. Yep, we're all fully charged. This one, obviously being a bigger pack, is still going. So after a little while, I left this one connected in just to see how the voltages would sag or rest back after charging. And as you can see, they've dropped very, very little. Okay, so we keep going. And this is the 1500 pack after bringing it back out to retest. So this is our starting voltage. And this is the flight. So we'll have a quick look at the voltages. And yeah, I mean, I'm not ragging this around as if I'm flying it like I've stolen it, but I'm not kind of just hovering on the spot either. I've been flying these packs as I would normally fly, nothing out of the ordinary. If we're going to kind of test these for everyday situations, this is my everyday kind of quad situation. So this is just kind of how I normally fly. So the packs are acting exactly as they did the first time round. I'm flying slightly more aggressively on this one compared to the last. But they haven't just dropped off the cliff yet. They're still there, and there's still some capacity left in the pack. We keep going. We're now approaching the same capacity and the same voltages as we did in the previous video. Let's have a look at what happens. Yeah, so we've reached the capacity that we did the last time, and now I'm kind of hovering just to see what happens. I'll bring it in backwards. And the voltage starts to drop off again very quickly. So, yeah, up here. So this is how the cells were sitting just before I flew that pack, and this is where they were sitting at the end, literally a minute after landing. Then I brought them back round to the house, plugged them in and charged them, and they came back up again, and the resistance is more or less as they were. And I have flown both the packs multiple times just like that. As I say, normally I kind of rag my packs down below 3.5 volts, knowing that they'll drop off, but they'll bounce back up again. There's a lot of bounce with the other kind of China Hobby line style batteries, but on these packs there's none of that bounce. Once they hit 3.5 volts and they go below 3.5 volts per cell, they just plummet, and they come back up a little bit, but they don't bounce back the same as different brands. So these graphs are really important, and this is very accurate to what I'm finding. So if you buy these batteries, rather than saying, oh, when I get to 3.5 volts I'll land because they'll bounce back up again, you need to change your thinking with these batteries, and you kind of need to land or really start thinking about landing when you see 3.6 volts per cell. Give yourself that time to get back and get these on the ground by 3.5, because as soon as you punch or you let that voltage drop below 3.5, they're going to really sink, and then you'll probably be in trouble. No amount of easing off the throttle is going to allow those packs to come back up again. So yeah, what do I think of the packs? Yeah, they're really good on punches and so on. They're holding their voltages really well. I'm able to get pretty much the full capacity out of them. This is a little heavier than the kind of the lithium ion pack that I would normally use, but of course there's no sag, where with the lithium ion pack there is sag. You just have to change your mindset on how you fly with these. But yeah, they're not bad. Go and have a look. There is an affiliate link in the description. I don't care if you use it or not, but Hobbyking kind of set me up with it, so it's there. But yeah, the Hobbyking APEX Performance 180C LIPO packs. Bye.